So next fact. Right here. Yeah, exactly. 145,000 untested rape kits have been identified across the country. Identified. Let's go back to what I was saying. 64% of victims who are eligible of a rape kit even take one. Right? Of that 64%, less than 30% submitted to submitted to the police. The police then have to turn around and submit it to the crime lab for processing, right? So these things that are untested, they're in that process coming from the police station to the crime lab for further investigation and processing, right? So you're talking, again, less than 30% of victims who are eligible for a rape kit submitted to the crime lab. Right. So this number here represents a very tiny slither. We can't even do the math on it, because there are victims who are ineligible to even submit a rape kit because they may have taken a shower or changed their clothes. All right, which makes them ineligible because the crime scene has been altered.
Just lost evidence.
And when you're traumatized, you're not thinking of, oh, wait, I'm a crime scene. I can't alter the crime scene. Exactly. You're not thinking about that.
No.
No, you're thinking about, all sorts of things. But one of which might be, I want to take a shower. I want to get the filthiness off me. I want to change my clothes. But then that makes you ineligible for a rape kit.
This has
time limits, time statutes too.
This study that we have done has really educated me on the horror of rape.
Yes.
I always wondered, I'm like, why are people not being convicted? I mean, this person literally raped this individual. Why are we not catching them? Another thing I didn't think about is she's been traumatized. They asking her, do you know what the person looks like? I zoned out of the whole thing. My body went in the...
Oh, you're right there face to face, very intimate. How do you not know what's going on? As if it's a Hollywood sex scene. It's not.
It could have been in the nighttime. Even in the daytime, my body... we can easily go in the shock, be zoned out, whatever it may be, and not remember. Then also you went and you took a shower, so you washed away the evidence. Time has passed. They already are. How do we know you're not making it guilty until proven innocent?
Very backwards. And there's a such thing as temporary paralysis, right? So there's plenty of women out there that when this happens, when they're recounting their story, they're talking about how they just seized up and tensed up, and we're sitting here like, well, what do you mean? You didn't try to fight, you don't know what they look like. Well, what do you mean? It's like I don't know, and they can't explain it what happened because their body is going into survival mode, and what happens is they have shock-induced paralysis. Right. And the body does this as a means to help preserve itself. So you get through that traumatic experience and come through on the other side with your life intact. And then what happens is when they try to explain what happened, there's gaps in their memory. And no one knows why. But that's why, because of your body going into shock mode, right? Or into paralysis mode,
Wow.
So one thing we'll note is that there's no uniform definition of a backlog. The National Institute of Justice, for example, defines backlogged as those cases that remain untested for more than 30 days after being submitted to a crime laboratory, but acknowledges that this definition excludes additional cases in which the evidence have not been submitted to a laboratory by law enforcement. So 18% of unsolved alleged sexual assaults that occurred between 2002 to 2007 contain forensic evidence that was still in police custody and have not been submitted to a crime lab for analysis. All right, so it's pervasive. Again, go watch that documentary, I Am Evidence, and it'll open your eyes to how much is going out there, and that we need funding to these police departments to actually test these rape kits, right? So again, we're going to get into, Black Lives Matter arguments and defund the police and what that means and what a better argument will mean. But, just moving forward, we just don't want you to get the idea that, oh, we believe that we should just defund the police departments and stuff like that. We're going to get into that. Yes, we got an opinion. We're going to talk about that later. But
please wait for our opinion and not assume that we stand on a certain side or think certain things. Wait until we get there, because you may be surprised on where we stand and what we think.
You keep rocking with us. One thing for sure, we're always going to stand with Jesus.
Exactly.
That's unmovable right here. Right. But
don't confuse that with people who have claimed to stand on Jesus and have had a lack of compassion. Mm-hmm. We're not those guys.
We're not trying to be those guys.
No.
Maybe we have had a lack of compassion in the past due to ignorance.
Yes.
But as we mentioned in our trailer, we're going to try to remove ignorance wherever possible. And this is clearly an area where, as men, we are ignorant.
Absolutely.
And it takes a willing spirit to go forward and remove ignorance, right? And it's only because we've been transformed by the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
Not of ourselves.
No.
By ourselves, we would still be by ourselves and remain an object and object. Not emotion remains not emotion. And the object that rests remains in rest is probably the better way to say it. But anyways, fact number 5. Want to catch that one?
Yes, sir. Confidentiality and privacy concerns partially explain the high number of unreported sexual assault crimes.
Yeah. So what happens is privacy is often very important to rape survivors. Not only because rape may be stigmatizing, but also because survivors may wish to avoid retaliation by the perpetrator if the rape becomes public. Some commentators have argued that putting a survivor's name in a news story aids in decreasing the stigma of rape, in that it puts a face to the name. However, most advocates agree that social change should not be happening by outing the survivors through media. Which is... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. We're the same mom. But I was having a conversation with the young lady, and she was kind of detailing she didn't get raped, but it definitely was a sexual assault that was attempted to. Well, it did happen. It was an assault. He wasn't able to complete what he was trying to do, but she was able to get away from the situation. But I asked her a couple of questions. Why not come forward? One of the first things she said, I didn't think anyone would believe me. Number 2, that I knew people would blame me. What were you wearing? Why were you there? Why were you alone with this guy? She's like, we were just friends. And I believe her. We were just friends and we were going out. But the assumption of people would be, just friends going out. Why were you even in a position to be able to be alone and be raped?
That's the lies we get sold through culture. Oh, you can have friends. You can do all this stuff. But then when something bad's happened, oh, what did you do? Oh, it's your fault.
Exactly.
I'm like, but through music, through movies. I mean, there's a commercial right now. I forget what food it is, but there's a commercial right now with the Ariana Grande song about if you want it, come and get it. All right, so it's baked into the culture. We sing these songs and think that we can scoop fire into our laps and not get burned, right? And then when we look at these kids who, again, don't even have a full functioning prefrontal cortex, and we look at them and say, oh, why did you make this decision? Because they couldn't help it. They don't know better. They don't have the ability. They don't have the physical ability to do better.
So now she has to deal with the trauma, and I'm one of the few that she has told about the situation. I know another young lady that was raped, and again, I'm one of the few that she told her family doesn't even know that it happened, and it's for some of the same reasons. And so it's real out here.
I think in a church community, like we mentioned before about forgiveness and repentance, but at the same time, we need to be vigilant. If we know somebody who is coming to church and they're clearly unrepentant, if they're doing stuff like this and they're in the church and in our church group, we need to really oust them and be vigilant and not continue to allow foxes to guard their hen house. All right.
On another note, with the being vigilant, paying attention to people that have their head down, they look distressed, going and checking on them. Fidgety. And it could be fidgety from a demonic standpoint, or it could be fidgety from a hurt standpoint. And I've seen some people do a good job of that. I saw one of the men at our church that had spotted a young man who was really going through a lot at home, and he just could tell by his countenance, and he checked on him in pride and found out some things that were going on. But if we just fast pace and we just
you checked on him in pride, or
no. He pride.
Well, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. I thought you said pride as in like a pride.
No. I said pride. Okay. Pride,
like pride the door open.
Exactly. Like, he kept on pushing, got more information, and found out. But if we fast paced and we just trying to get in and out, or going around not really considering people, that's what I love about the text when it says that if you are offering your gift and then realize you have offended your brother, that means that you actually had to realize you offended your brother.
Yeah.
Meaning that you are paying attention.
Yeah.
You realize that this person is offended. I love that text because it puts it on you to be paying attention.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't know we offended people.
So we're just going about our day, and just, burn you, and not even paying attention to what's going on. So let's move on from that. The 6th point, talking about the military. So the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 32, allows a person accused of rape to cross-examine a survivor. So unlike a civilian criminal case where cross-examination is not allowed before a trial, one of the greatest obstacles for military sexual assault survivors who pursue justice in the military is overcoming Article 32. The purpose of the article is to avoid trials on unfounded accusations. And it happens. Unfounded accusations do happen, and they actually happen at a higher rate in the military. Go figure. An Article 32 hearing, in that Article 32 hearing, there is no judge, and the rules of evidence do not apply. Instead, an impartial investigation officer must determine if there is probable cause that a crime was committed. Wow. So you can be raped, be victim of sexual assault, right? And this other lawyer now has the opportunity to ask you the same silly questions. Where were you? What were you doing? Basically, it's your fault. Without even a real judge being present. Which opens the door. Like, the system is set up and rigged to allow sexual abuse to happen in the military. Man, we need reform.
Yes.
And there are movements to make that happen. Oh man, I meant to look this up, but I know I'm gonna hit up in the comments. But matter of fact, dude, hit us up in the comments. I know there is there's something that's happened recently, not too long ago, a few months ago, where movement in the right direction is actually happening. Where I believe it's like independent investigations are happening to hold military accountable. All right, and I think it's only the Army. To be honest, not even all 5 branches, but it's a start. It needs to catch up real fast.
And I know you know better. We talked about, we throw around the word reform so much, and you can go look up the definition for yourself. But my question is, how do you reform something that was never right in the first place?
You can't reform like rotten fruit.
And so I just want y'all out there, the audience, to think about a lot of the things that you say we need to reform, and then go back and look at the history of how it started and what was the basis on it starting, and then look up the definition of what the word reform means, and ask yourself, can we reform that?
Nope.
I'm gonna leave that up.
So some things can't just be reformed; they just need to be cut off.
Need to be torn. I love the you know what, I'm not gonna even go there. We'll talk about it.
we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get pulled on that rabbit hole right now.
I was about to go.
Oh man. And where are these clouds coming from? Making us look all dark and whatnot. It's you know, we got some natural light going on here, and it's a powerful natural light. But whatever. Moving on, not gonna be distracted.